You know, when you just procrastinate your life away and you overthink everything, and at some point the only solution is to actually just do something. That is what we are doing today for this vlog, because I've been thinking about doing this all week, and it's just one of those moments where I keep talking myself out of it. I keep changing my mind. I keep telling myself you have to do 50,000 things before I can actually film this vlog, and that is not helping any of us, nor are you guys at the right angle today. There we go. That's better. So I want to do a spring closet reset because I feel like I just need to do it. And then I've been thinking about the fact that if I do this, I want to film this, but also I want to talk about some Sephora self picks because I love Sephora, and I feel like it can be really overwhelming to fall down the rabbit hole of like 1,055 beauty things and finding people who have the exact same skin as you, people whose opinion you can really trust. Is very rare. I'm kind of just so fussy about it myself. I also feel like at the end of the day, there's so much that changes with how you apply makeup. So makeup, skincare, all those things. We're going to do like a very swift overview of a few of my like, oh my gosh, I can't live without them favorites. But I will say, for the sake of ease of anything that I'm going to forget, the Sephora sale blog post is going to be updated. It is in the description box below, and we'll just make this whole process easier. P.S. I have one code to give away for anybody who wants to shop 20% off within the first, like, I think window before it opens to the general public to kind of break down. I think there's like 3 different tiers, but Rouge level gets 20% off, and I love Rouge. Obviously, I use a lot of products that I really like to be able to buy at a discount. So myself, but then occasionally my best friend will use my account. I probably do it all on my own and it's fine, but I do have one to give away. So if you would like it, if you're ready to shop and you would like 20% off and don't currently have access to it, comment in the comments below your email. Let me know that you want it, comment your email, and I will delete your email and comment after I've sent it to you. But like, I need to be able to like directly get it to you. And if you can kind of confirm that you got it, then we'll delete the thread and nobody will have to kind of keep it out there. But let's start with the quick highs. I have purchased this so many flippin' times. I can't even count anymore. Honestly, it has been the cleanser that I've used for the past 7 years, and it's honestly the one that just makes my skin the happiest. It doesn't overly do anything. I have dry kind of combination skin, dry to normal skin actually. And what I find happened when I was really dealing with hormonal acne was that getting the BHAs that my skin needs to kind of stay clear as far as acne and navigating all of that, which is very heavily diet based for me. I've got some breakouts right now that are because I've been eating stuff my body's like, could you not? That particular face wash is one that I just feel like I haven't found another duplicate for. It tends to be one that just has the perfect kind of combination for me, and as much as it is an investment piece, it actually lasts me longer than other ones. Like, I use one pump whenever I wash my face at night, one pump whenever I wash my face in the morning. I don't take my makeup off with it. It is part of my like treatment as well as my cleansing, and because of that it tends to last me for 3 months. So I think it retails for around $88, but when you break that down, that's like less than $30 on a cleanser every single month because I'm using it for so long. And then if you get the 20% off, it's even better. So one of my favorites, can't recommend it enough. I'm forever obsessed with it. I change a lot of things in my skincare and I'm constantly kind of trying things. I'm due for a very solid skincare revamp, but like that product, she doesn't go anywhere. She's here for, I feel like I talk about this every single time, but I am just such a freaking fan of the Tatcha vitamin C. And if you use vitamin C's at different price points and different kind of just mixes of how they apply, this is the skincare product that will mess up everything else in your routine. There's something about the formula for this product that it tends to be the thing that if you change it up, you'll find that when you start layering things on, especially when you get to the point of putting on your makeup, you'll start noticing that as you're applying products, it kind of pills. So it means it like rolls up in like little balls on your skin and it's not really sitting and meshing together. The formulas tend to just have issues being copacetic. And vitamin C is the one thing where that is a consistent problem. The Tatcha one is the only one that I have found that I never have an issue with anything else that I try, because it is such a like very thin layering serum that really soaks into the skin. It doesn't have that thicker kind of I want to say emulsion, and I know that's not the correct word, but it doesn't have that thicker kind of texturing to it, whatever the case may be, whether it's an oil base or whatever adds to it that creates that like heavier barrier. It doesn't have that issue, so it easily blends in. And I have tried tried so many vitamin C's over the years. Anytime somebody offers one to send to me, I give it kind of a like, okay, I'm open to trying it, but I have a really strong feeling that it's not going to agree with something else. So I try not to trust it on a makeup day where I actually need my makeup to work. That being said, the Tatcha one is one that I just come back to time and time again. I see a big difference in making sure that any kind of acne scars, anything that I'm navigating skincare wise, that like my skin is staying healthy as much as I'm in the sun with running, as much as I have freckles. So any kind of dealing with hormonal acne, because I really had that issue for many, many years. And you can see my skin, I'll give you a little bit better light, but like you can see how clear my skin is. And I have a little bit of breakout right now, but like looking at this and knowing that I had to use the right skincare to make sure that with the acne that I experienced, especially as somebody who's freckly, that I didn't really scar. Vitamin C, Tatcha specifically, has been massive in helping me make sure that my skin stays glowing. It's also an essential if you are over 30 because our collagen production decreases naturally. You need vitamin C to help with that. So it's an anti-aging serum as well. See if we can do a miniature speed round of this version because I need to get ready. I don't have to get ready very quickly today. We're just having a little chat, you and I, but I don't want to spend 17 years. I just got sunscreen on the floor. I don't want to spend forever taking all of your time with this part of the vlog, but I will say the Kiehl's SPF is just so good, especially if you want to make sure that your skin is protected. As much as I love a lot of the other sunscreens that have tint or have just all of the different things in them, the one thing that I find is that the way that they're actually kind of formulated is when you are putting them anywhere but your face, they can crease a little. It doesn't tend to work as well for me if I'm adding product into them. Like if I put it down my neck and then I'm putting bronzer on top of it, I find that it kind of gets into the creases and it's not the same. I have none of those issues with the Kiehl's SPF, and it is SPF 50. You don't really want to mix any kind of like glow stuff with your sunscreen because you're going to be diluting the potency. You're going to be diluting how it's actually covering your skin. So that is really a like separate product kind of situation. Like apply your sunscreen, then apply whatever you want glow wise. So I have to say, I just adore it so much. It is one of my favorites. I've reused it so many times, and my skin just stays so incredibly healthy because of it. Now we know and love and use this primer consistently. I need to place my own Sephora order. We're kind of at the bottom of this, but the Easy Blur primer from Huda Beauty is one of my favorites because it's not too tacky. I don't need anything more intense because I'm not oily, but I want something that's really going to help make sure that everything sticks to my face, especially with the humidity in where I live. And this does a great job. And then you guys know that I use this. If you're somebody who's outside throughout the day and you need just a good touch up, you know that I use this before runs because I just want something that's easy to apply to my face. I want something that's going to get kind of anywhere and everywhere that I need, and it's not too intense. And this is from Kula, and I've been using, I'm almost maybe getting low on it, but I've had it for a while and I use it every single day. This is probably more used than any makeup product for me because I tend to forget to do makeup often. If I'm not filming or if I'm just kind of in my own little world, I'm still going for walks, I'm still doing other stuff, and this is going to go on my face before I go out the door every single time. I just spray it all over and kind of go about my day, and I love it. But it's also good for like topping up. So if you're going and having a lot of stuff and you're doing a long day out, and you want to make sure that you're still being protected, this is really great because it's not greasy and it doesn't give you that like, oh my gosh, I just coated myself in sunscreen, which is really nice, especially on the face. There's a big difference between applying like a spray sunscreen and applying a made for your face to spray sunscreen, and this is just such a okay. I have to talk about foundations because I don't actually show you guys this, and I think it will make my point very efficiently for you. These are all the foundations that are currently in my collection. All of them. Just, there's a big pile of them. This is the only one that I use every single day. It's the one that I use constantly. It's the one that I love the most. It's the one that I am so obsessed with, and I feel like it just does the most beautiful job with what I want for my skin, which is a medium kind of coverage that is buildable, that lets my skin breathe and gives me like the evenness that I want with my tone, but it doesn't look too intense, especially as somebody with freckles, because I find that I see this on some people who go really heavy on face makeup and then they've got so much other pigmentation on their body, it makes their head kind of look separate from everything else going on. It's a really weird experience to kind of see. This does a nice job of being that middle ground for stuff. I feel like my skin looks really nice. You guys see it. I have such a beautiful blend. It works so beautifully. It doesn't ever feel like I have too much on my skin, and I love it to death. I'm just obsessed with this. The best kind of time to get this is either the Sephora sale or it would have been the Ulta sale when that was happening, because it tends to go in the 50% off pile, and then sometimes it is on sale on Amazon, but I love it. It is just, we're gonna wear her in a second. I'll kind of show you the other ones that are in my hand that I don't wear as often, that you can kind of see. So I have the Clé de Peau foundation, the Radiant Cream. This is only available, I believe, at least in the US, the most popular retailer I see it on is Saks, and it's just not quite there for me. This doesn't tend to work for my skin as much, and it is quite an investment piece for, especially for the size of it, but it's just an investment piece. Makeup by Mario and the House Labs one. If I like one, I don't like the other, and I say that to mean with these, it's always contingent for me on how much I've actually prepped my skin and the moisture levels that I have ahead of time. If that's not quite right for me, it ends up being a completely terrible experience. I keep these because it's nice to have a darker one if I'm ever a tan and I need to kind of make sure that my skin doesn't look like my head is really bright in compared to my body, especially for the beginning of that and we're shooting content. And I just look at myself and think that you look really weird. Like, why did you let yourself shoot that? I love both of these. You can see I've used quite a bit of my like House Labs one, and I think this is my second Makeup by Mario one. I enjoyed these, but I also have to know that like these only work if I've done the right skincare prep for them. The Lancome works for me all of the time. I'm not having to be extra fussy about it or worried that like it's gonna patch off at the end of the day. And sometimes these don't really look so good for my skin at the end of the day. The Lancome one always looks phenomenal, even after I've done like really long day wear. Of course, I have some of the IT Cosmetics. They've sent me a couple of different PR packages, and this is like the heaviest of heaviest. I don't tend to wear anything that thick that often, if ever, these days, to be honest. Even if I was doing full coverage for something else, I would probably fill in the gap with concealer. Like, I just don't need that level of coverage, but I do love it. It's just not something that I personally need. The Chanel is the opposite. This Le Beige Touche, I'm not going to butcher my French. I haven't used it in a while. You can see that I've thoroughly tested everything that I have, and it's very sheer. It is very almost like watery and kind of thin. Maybe we'll put this on today and kind of see, or I'll do a test soon and you can kind of see the difference, but it is all, these probably need to be thrown out. This is not got a lot of coverage, and it's not one that I tend to reach for a lot, if ever, but maybe I'll test this again as a potential like tinted something for summer. I have the Valentino one, and I bought this. It is a sunscreen SPF long light lasting perfecting foundation. I bought this kind of hoping that it would essentially be what I ended up finding with my Lancome one, which is that more like medium coverage. It's not just giving you the glow and the dew of your skin. I find that I want some kind of coverage, but I don't want it super heavy. And if I'm going really light with it, I really want that to probably be more of a, I've gotten some kind of dewdrops and I'm giving myself a glow, and then I'm filling in the gaps with concealer. So I don't tend to like a lightweight foundation in the same way. And this one I've used like down to here, and honestly, there's not been like, I just don't love it. It's not my favorite. I'm giving you all of this to show you that I'm speaking from a place I've tried all of them. I do really like this one. I feel like it is a nice, good SPF option, especially if you want something that's going to be a little bit more of that. Like, it is still foundation. It's still got the SPF in it. I don't believe the Lancome one does. Oh no, it does. I still always wear SPF on top, like in addition to this. I do really like this one if you're somebody who wants a little bit more of a cleaner brand in your routine. It's been a while since I've used this, but I do really like it. I think that this would kind of tie for me with Lancome as far as stuff that I love. I really reach and use for the Lancome one the most, so maybe we'll use this one today to kind of see, but it is something that's a little bit cleaner. It's probably a little bit more lower budget than a Lancome, I believe, and I have the Luminous Silk Foundation. I love and adore my Armani concealer. It is one of my absolute favorites, but I just feel like I've heard so many people over the years talk about Luminous Silk, and I've tried it a ton. This is actually kind of thick, and which is nice. It's not too thick, but it's definitely got some like thickness to it. We are all prepped and ready to go. I do feel like I just haven't found a case where maybe my skin hasn't been prepped right for the Armani Luminous Silk. I might be that I need to, I've had that bottle for forever, and I bought it probably because I feel like everybody and their sister kind of talked about it at one point. I am probably due to maybe try it again with a different set of skin prep and could kind of see, but I feel like that particular foundation is a lot of people's wedding foundation, and that's really nice, but it just has never been one that I have absolutely adored. All of the stuff that I am real fussy about, all of the things that I feel like everybody raves about. Again, I feel like no matter what you're doing, it's always going to kind of come down to the prep that you've given your skin and what your skin needs to actually kind of successfully work with whatever you're putting on top of it. And you can see this is still showing kind of spots through. We're getting a little bit of sheerness, but I have a glow. We're getting a consistent, like, even bit of coverage there. I'm going to go in and add more. I always kind of do a less is more, but it's not too much for the skin and we're still getting glow. That's really what I want, is I don't want it to look like it's got such a full amount of coverage that if I move my face or if I do anything that you're going to see creases. I don't want it to look like I have an insane amount of stuff on my face. I have a little bit of extra coverage where it feels like I need it. And again, I tend to lean more towards normal to dry, and having anything in the like drier skin range for me is what really throws off a foundation. All right, let's throw on concealer and then we will kind of move on throughout the other things. Armani concealer under the eyes. I probably could replace my other color for it. I have two. These are a big difference as far as how much you want to use and what it looks like on your face. This one is lighter and it's much more beautiful under the eyes. It's really what you're going to want under the eyes. I feel like if you are of any kind of age, but especially if you're over 30 and you feel like everything under your eyes just looks cakey, like no matter what you do, all of the product looks like you've got lines and little mountains under your eyes because there's a lot going on. Your concealer is probably too thick. I do have a list of other products that I want to kind of test in comparison to this. But either way, this kind of goes in that category as the Tata Harper one for me. And that the price point up front, you might be like, oh my gosh, that seems like so much more than I want to pay. But the reality is, I've had this product for over a year and a half, maybe longer, and it's still going. Like, we've still got plenty in there. I feel like most of us who use this product do the same thing. It's like, I've had it for a year. It'll probably take me until year 2 to run out of it. Like, it just... You don't need a ton. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it makes your skin under your eyes look so beautiful. Let me give you a close-up. Hold on. So you can see here where I would get kind of the lines and the creases from it. And like, I have the lines underneath, but it is such a fine concealer that it's not going to do anything like grippy. It's not going to really dehydrate them. It's not going to make you look at the under eyes and be like, she put too much product, or whatever she's using is too thick. And that is the hourglass issue. I love this concealer, and I filmed a like no makeup for you guys that I did not end up posting when I was in Atlanta last month, or February. That was when I was in Atlanta. I filmed it then, but I find that with this specific concealer, it just does a great job at giving coverage where I need it. I am not the best at covering any kind of spots intensely, mostly because I don't really like to look like I'm wearing a ton of makeup. That's my own issue. There are people who are very skilled at that. I am not one of them. But if I want to make my skin just look better, anywhere I feel like we need a little bit more coverage, so right here where I've got the spot that's kind of telling on the fact that I haven't eaten as well as my body would like me to this week, it really just blends everything out. It kind of makes it a little bit more even, but it is a thicker coverage. So if you're somebody who likes to wear a less makeup kind of situation, but you still want to have some kind of coverage, and this is it, would not put her under the eyes. She's going to tell you every single time. All right, let's hit up the rest of these very quickly and kind of give you context for stuff. I adore this specific product. It's the Artist Sculpt from Makeup Forever, and I learned about it specifically from Katie Jane Hughes. Now, if you've never heard of Katie Jane Hughes, she is a celebrity makeup artist. I think she's currently on tour with Dua Lipa doing her makeup, but she's really known for kind of just letting your skin be its best. And she does makeup in a way that really looks beautiful. Like, you can tell that she put skincare first, but everybody is glowy. It's not too overly done. You don't feel like she's used 17 powders or 75 layers. Like, the products she's using, she uses really well, and she uses them really intentionally. This specific product was one that she kind of did a whole video about, I think on TikTok, and I've followed her for years. This is the product, though, that if you're like me, because where my body's at right now, I'm really kind of having to contour some things back while I'm helping my body get back to its healthiest and strongest. And so I'm always kind of looking to either create shapes and shadows, or I'm also looking to lift. we will live with this in a minute. And this is a very strong product. Like, I don't use a ton. I'm really intentional with where I'm using it. And even then, I'm going to go back over this with bronzer. But if you are wanting to shape your face, if you're wanting to shape your nose, if you're wanting to make your lips look bigger, let's do that. Actually, I like to use a nice fluffy little brow, fluffy little pencil for this. We're going to go down the side of the nose. Again, we're doing this so subtly because you can already see. Do you see how there's a big shadow difference from doing the one side? This is going to go a little bit, goes a long way, but it has a big impact. And then we're just going to contour her out and make her a little bit pointier. Kind of take a bit of the roundness off of it, and then shorten her up a little bit. We'll pat that out some so that it's not too much, but it just makes it look a little bit more lifted. And I use this the most with the lips. This is one of those things that if you don't want to get lip filler, you're not into lip filler, you don't really feel like lip filler suits you, or maybe you just don't have a great reaction to it, I notice such a big difference when we shadow around the lips, and it just gives that bit of extra. And then we're going to use this on the eyes. I think I might potentially skip eye makeup. We'll see. This is going wherever it goes today. So I went ahead and added the bronzer. You can kind of see the slight contour versus having the contour in the bronzer going on. This is from Makeup by Mario. I've had this one forever, and clearly it lasts for friggin' a while. I'm not uber married to this one. It is a nice bronzer. I don't feel like it's too orangey. I feel like it blends really well with everything else, but I don't find that I have any kind of like, oh my god, this has to happen with bronzer. As long as it just works for me, I feel like I'm more fussy about making sure that I get the contour color right, because if you don't get that right, then the bronzer is an issue. But also, if you're using maybe not the right shade of bronzer for what you want as far as making sure that your blush does the best, that's a separate issue. And sometimes this one and the lightness of my skin doesn't really pair very well if I want to do a more orangey based blush, and I probably should just skip bronzer in that case. But Makeup by Mario one is nice and I really enjoy it. The one thing though, I'm kind of saying that though, I did try the Patrick Ta bronzers and I love the blushes, you guys. These are the ones that I need to replace because I have been using this specific one, and I believe this is just enough for we've kind of hit the pan. I do the cream on top. The powder is actually quite potent, and these are the ones that, like, if you need your blush to last all day, I've been mixing the two to kind of use between the two, and you can see that is going to be really bright. If you need it to last all day, this is the product you're going to want to go with. I'm going to go a little heavy-handed and bring it kind of down to earth a little bit more, and if I really need it to last, I will go back in and kind of put the powder on top of it. That is quite intense even for me today, but I have to say the bronzer from Mario is my favorite, but the blush from Patrick Ta is just the best, and Just Enough is actually probably my perfect blush, but I'm trying to get rid of and / use She's It All a little bit more, so we kind of add both in. Let's tone her down. As much as I feel like beauty blenders are lovely, I buy a pack of these off of Amazon and they're really great because then I don't feel guilty about needing to throw them out whenever we reach the point that I'm just like, this is no longer working, but I'm not about to chuck a $20 sponge in the trash. I'm gonna get close to this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, but you've seen that we've been sitting for a minute with the concealer under the eye. I am gonna go back in and dab this out just a smidge to make sure that there's nothing kind of built up before I go in with the Givenchy powder. This is the best powder, especially if you feel like no matter what you stick under your eyes, it looks like you've got a ton of product. I like to press it into the puff here and then press it into my hand because it really makes sure that I'm not overly getting powder on this product, especially because I just want it to kind of finely lay. And then I'm going to press up and kind of underneath and gently set that. I don't need more than that. You can kind of see it's already sorted and taken care of. I'll go back in and grab this and do it on the back of the hand. And I'm really mindful about just kind of pressing up so that I'm not dragging anything, that I'm really kind of making sure that I set this the way that I want to be setting it. And then after that, I will go in, take it on the side here and make sure that we're getting that like cut on the side of the face. It helps with the contouringness of everything. And then we're gonna go on the other side and get her kind of cut. We'll add some more if I need to, but I always start kind of a less is more situation and build up. And this is, again, another product that lasts for forever. but is so good that I really don't use anything else. If I needed to, I might use my Charlotte Tilbury powder on my face to kind of touch up, but I rarely do. And either way, this is just the one that I love the most. Like, I don't necessarily want a product, at least in my routine right now. I don't tend to want anything that I'm only going to use occasionally. Like, if I'm going to invest in products, I want them to be the ones that I'm going to want to use all the time. And that is really the Givenchy powder. Now, as far as brows go, I have to say the Benefit brow pencil, and a lot of these products stay linked in my description box because I don't tend to change, or haven't changed in a while, anything that I'm doing as far as skincare goes. The Benefit brow pencil is my favorite. I just haven't repurchased it yet, and I really need to. I've been kind of using through my collection, and it just looks the best. Now, I don't mind the Beverly Hills, Anastasia Beverly Hills one. Like, it's still a good brow pencil, but if we're choosing between the two, I have to say the Benefit one is the best. But also, if you're a blonde, one of the things that it seems to be kind of the like weird niche, I imagine that the red-haired girlies know this struggle too, is that there's a light shading that's required to get like a taupe blonde right, and not every brand does it. And so sometimes it's too yellowy or too orangey, and it doesn't really blend or marry with the brow product that kind of matches the root situation that you have going on. And there are a few brands that do it really well, and Benefit is one of them. They just have such a good quality product. If you do the line underneath, you will make your brows look more clean. I know the girlies love a feathered brow, but I haven't figured that out for myself without trying to go and laminate them. So we're just going to stick with what we know and make them look full. And then it's also really easy to tell if I need to pop anything. But this is all to say that I really love the Benefit brow pencil the absolute most, because I have it right now. I'm not always that fussy about it, but if I have it, I'll use it. The Kosas Micro Brow to kind of get in the front. If you're somebody who really likes the precision of making your brows look kind of perfect and you have the time to fuss with them, this is really great because it really helps do that light-handedness in the front. But you can also, I'm not going to be very great with the brow strokes. Like, I can't say that I'm always really patient enough for that. But if you get too much product anywhere, you can always just take a brush and kind of take your powder brush and fluff out the front of the brow. Thank you, Alana, for teaching us all that. And it just makes them look a little bit better. I want to take a second and go back to our contour product, because I feel like if you're somebody who wants to look just maybe naturally glowy and like your face is really lifted, almost like you just had a nice day at the spa and you got some Botox and you're just living your best life and you're not too overdone, this is going to be the vibe for you. I will say, let's just do an extra pat on the eyes to make sure that we're not too oily with powder. But then I'm going to go in and give a bit of liftedness to the edges of my eyes. And I will do makeup on top of this, but again, we're going really light and it's not going to be too strong, especially when you go and kind of add in mascara or whatever the case may be. But it's literally just going to make everything look lifted, and it's not too intense. Like, we'll take that down a little bit of a notch, but can you see how it automatically just goes whoop right there because we've shaded up a little bit? It probably looks a little bit more intense on camera and you can kind of blend that out, but it's naturally drawing the eye up. Like, this looks like it's more lifted than this just because I've done that. So a little bit at the edge. And this is really great, especially if you're somebody like me who has hooded eyes and it can become a bit of a pain to navigate, but everything just looks a little bit more lifted. We've almost got that like current Ariana Grande branding wing to go on, but simple. I could add mascara, call it a day. We're gonna go in and do one more thing. I'm gonna show you the palette that I use, probably the second most to go with this. And I also am not too consistent with using highlighter these days. She seems to fall into the back of my routine and I'm just kind of okay with that. So I feel like this is a very fall based palette, and you see me guys use it a lot. And it is from Anastasia Beverly Hills because, again, we love her. And I use Leather, Smoke, and Moonlight the most. Those tend to just be the best for me. This is a very pigmented palette. It is definitely one that you're going to want to tap out. But we've already got that lift over there. So we're just going to add a little bit in. And I will go in and kind of give it a little bit of light shading. And then I will blend the crap out of this to make sure that we are getting it to the opacity that I want it to be at, because sometimes it can be too much for the middle of the day, but getting kind of the base that you want and then just blending it until it is a bit more sheared out does a great job. And this just really does the most with the least. Anytime I use the specific shadow combination and I'm looking back at my makeup or doing content with it, I'm just like, oh, I really love that. Like, it just looks so good. I go in and clean that edge up a little bit, just soften her out. Again, with a powder brush, I use whatever I have that's on hand that's previously used, but we're just kind of shading the eyes. And I have hooded eyes, we've said that already, so I don't want to do too much product to where my eyes look closed. Like, your eyes don't look like they're open, or if you're somebody who does a really thick band of anything in the middle, especially with hooded eyes, it just tends to make everything look a lot smaller. So I like to keep it kind of light in the center. I will use whatever palette I have on hand that has a light shadow. This palette is, I need to re-glue my very beloved and very original KKW Beauty eyeshadow palette, but there's still a light color in the ColourPop one that I use every day. And I'll go back in and kind of add a little bit of lightness to the center of the eye to make sure that we are keeping it nice and bright and open. And then I do this pretty much every single time. Is I take something that's a little bit more compact, and I'm going to go in with 2 different colors. I'm going to go with Smoke, and then I'm going to go in with Moonlight. And this just gives me that like little bit of fun, you're looking at the center of my eye glow. So we will take it in and kind of go lightly. And again, we're just drawing the eye kind of in. I'm going to add some liner to this so it will look a little bit more complete, but it brings everything together without anything feeling too dark, and my eyes stay light and bright, and it keeps everything looking kind of white at the center. I'd say just go gently with adding this in, because you can build it up. And then could probably grab a clean brush. Not going to. I'm going to go in with Moonlight and add this in. I don't know how well this is going to present on this camera. Sometimes the purple doesn't show up as well, but there are some photos that we shot back in January that really gave the essence of this experience, and you were really kind of able to see all of that detailing, and I loved it so much. So we have that blend going on, and it just gives that bit of brightness. We're at the point right now where the makeup, we definitely need the finishing touches because it looks like there's a lot happening, but kind of pat anywhere you feel like you've got too much, but honestly, that's the vibe. Let's add the liner. So I really struggle with the texture of my skin matching up with my ability to do liner. This side of my eye, I have like extra bit of layering on the skin on the edge, so I have the ability to get a really clean wing on that side, but if I were to do anything on this side, it feels like any kind of liner kind of catches, any kind of felt tip. The Artist Liner from Lancome, and I have the one where it like kind of is the pen and you're flicking it out. This specific kind of method where all of the ink is actually down here, so you're dipping it in, really gives me a lot more control. It helps me make sure that I can keep a thinner line, especially as somebody with hooded eyes, where having the control over the thickness of the line makes all of the difference for me, because I don't want it to be too much. And I can really make sure that I'm not overly doing it. The nice thing about having this liner is because it's so wet, I'm not having to press down and worry that I'm going to get too much thickness in one area. It really does everything that I need it to do, and it comes in like a regular black, but it also comes in a brown if you want that. I am the biggest fan. This is probably going to be the liner that I use forever and ever, amen, unless there's a colored liner that I'm really in the mood for. But I just feel like, especially as somebody who really struggles with not being able to manage the amount of liner and it making the eye makeup look horrible on hooded eyes, this makes such a big difference. Like, you can really control how thick it is. If you wanted something thinner, or if you wanted something thicker, you could do that, but like, I want it to be thin, I need it to be thin, and I need to be able to control it, and I'm not having to push down and worry about it being too thick. I'm really just dipping this into the pot and getting what I need out, and it doesn't dry out the same because of that. It just works so beautifully. If you find that you need to make an area a little bit darker, because I feel like I didn't have enough on that when I first went through, it's easy for me to kind of get that back on, and I'm not having to push down to drag, then like to lift the liner, kind of like you would lift paint. So beautifully done. I love it. Let's add a little bit of setting spray because I haven't done that. She kind of lives in the closet because you guys sit on her a lot. So I have long blonde lashes, which means if I don't have anything on, my eyes look like they just don't have any kind of depth to them because of that fact. But also, I find that I have to apply it a really specific way to actually get the most out of my lashes, and doing these little tweaks makes a big difference for me. So I'm always going to use some kind of primer. I use the Lancome one. And what I find, if you're wanting to layer things up and to really get the thickness and the volume that you want in your lashes, having a little bit of drying time between eyes is the best. So I always start, I use a small mirror, and I'm going to go look at this from underneath because I want to make sure that I'm applying and lifting versus applying this way. Because if I'm applying this way, I'm not actually going to get the lift. The product's not going to do what I want it to do. Your lashes are going to look just not as lifted and voluminous and really kind of as thick and full as you want them to be, especially at the base. So I'm always applying from an angle of like, I'm seeing me lift this and apply this at the root and kind of come up with it. Again, we do one eye at a time. I kind of let each eye dry because I find that giving my eyes the time to dry between helps to make sure that the product has a little bit of stiffness to it, and I'm not just fighting for my life with too much product and it being too thick and it being such an issue. So I do primer on all of the things, and a lot of times what happens is by the time I get to the second eye, I've gotten more primer than I think I did, so I'll go back to the first, but primer is the first step for me. And then the Ilia mascara is probably one of my absolute favorites, especially if you want the separation and length in your eyelashes. We're going to go in with the thickening one. I'm using Monster Big for a while. It might be time for me to like do a little experiment and see what I'm really loving, but the brush application on this is so fine and precise that it really does so much for you, because you have this side that's really going to let you get into the lower lashes without putting too much product on, and then if you need to get the separation in, and again, we are going to go right at the base. Like, I need to be able to see the root of my lashes, really taking my time with it, and you can already see like my lashes look so much better, so much longer. And then we're going to kind of go to the bottom. I will go in with the more ball base side to kind of get everything in, and then if I need to, we can kind of adjust appropriately, but really gentle with it, really delicate with it. And then I also have curled my lashes to start, but we've got a nice base going on, and you can already see just the difference, especially because I've gone in at the root, and it really makes sure that they look thick and full, and then I've also got that length there. I have some that I'm gonna have to clean up, but still I really like it, especially with this particular applicator. I have a little bit of like a quirk going on with these lashes over here, and some of them are pulling and tugging because maybe my sleep mask is pulled and tugged on them, and they're kind of bent and they need a little bit of help. It makes a big difference being able to really separate everything the way that I want them to be separated, and to be able to get everything in. But especially like right here, I have a little bit of clumping going on, and you can kind of see that. And because I have such fine precision on here, I can really get in and kind of fix and finesse that until it looks right without having to like overly apply a lot of product. Means I can also kind of pull my lashes out on the end and make sure that we have a bit of thickness going on over here. And if you're somebody who wants to have that extra bit of like texture and chunk at the base of your lashes, this is easier to do with the side that's more of the comb, because I'm really kind of able to precisely apply what I want, but it doesn't end up being too thick. It doesn't end up being too much mascara, because we're going to go in with this and you'll see there's no precision with this wand. This wand is fat and chunky, and she does her job at making things look thick and full and giving us everything that we want without needing to put false lashes on, but she is not going to do any of that precision. She's just going to make us look nice. See, this is having the extra on, and we're getting there, but we're going to add more to this. And again, we're still going at the base because I don't want it to just be like I've dropped a bunch of mascara on the ends. that they look nice and thick and full, and I don't have to fuss with falsies because I can't really do that. Not me giving you guys like an entire makeup tutorial when I said we were going to clean the closet. We still have to clean the closet because I have a pair of shoes I keep thinking about and we haven't pulled her out yet. But we're going to go in with a lip combo that I feel like every pale girly needs to know about, but also it just does the most. It makes such a big difference. I am going to pick a more brown kind of color for this. So I normally have something that's like a lighter pink, kind of a nudie pink, maybe something that is similar to the kind of contouring of the lips. And then you guys have seen I go with a couple of different lip colors, but really if we're going to keep this the most simple, I have to say Pillow Talk Fair is probably my top contender, especially if you don't want to have multiple products, if you just want ease on. We're going to start by going in with my Makeup Forever lip liner and really kind of giving myself a good base to start. Now I do feel like this lip combo complements the eyes really well, so it's one that I do quite often. And I'm gonna go in and add the Pillow Talk Fair, and it's definitely got a more bright pinky sheen to it, so it keeps a bit of the warmth from the darker tone, but it still gives a lightness to the center of my lips, which kind of plays with the bit of lightness that we have going on with the eyeshadow. It really is just such a perfect kind of cool tone nude that really plays beautifully with everything else. And then if I have the time or have the mental notion to do it, I will take a brown liner that needs to be sharpened. And I feel like Makeup Forever has really good options, but I will say I really like it sharp. So then again, lips look bigger because we're giving that definition. I'm going into the volume line and giving a little bit of extra definition, and now my lips just look bigger. And I added the thinnest line because I just freshly sharpened this, and this is a Kylie Cosmetics one that came with something else. I feel like I have to use everything that I would get from her kits, but you could buy any kind of browner one. I will say Makeup Forever has some really good options, but I saw Amelia talking in her blog last week about Patrick Tall lip liners, and I haven't tried them yet. And one of the things she was talking about with those is that they are all clickable ones. So if you're like me, my liner needs to be, or my pencil sharpener needs to be replaced. It's got that like whatever wear and tear on the outside becomes really sticky. It's not hitting it right anymore. I feel like we need a different option, but I have to say I love it. I love this makeup. I'm so always happy when I do it. I feel like it does a beautiful job at kind of doing all the things that I want it to be doing, especially at my age. I have different goals at the age that I'm at. I want to look kind of that like natural maturity. You want to look like you have like that ethereal glow. You want to look put together. I don't really need to be too whimsy. I don't want to look too crazy. Like those are times where it's fun to do that, but like I want a solid routine that just makes me look really glowy every single day. I feel like when I pictured a grown-up and you picture that like person, especially in movies as a kid, that's like the ethereal, has her crap together, looks really pretty, like her makeup's always really well done, and it feels kind of at that vibe, is probably A, about the age that I'm at right now, and B, with this style of makeup. It just feels like it really suits me, it suits my personality, and it feels like there's nothing that's too much in here. And these are all of the little things that I do if I'm thinking about it and I have a little bit more time. I will probably scale this down in a day-to-day where I'll forget to contour my nose, I'll forget to contour my lips. I might not do the extra liner situation. I might do a little less time really precisely doing stuff. I wanted to give you guys like what you get the most from, but everything's really well blended. You're not seeing any kind of randomness going on. I did catch a little bit of a line going on with my blush whenever I was spraying my face, but that's a perfect time whenever you set it. If you catch any kind of lines or anything that needs to be a little bit more blended and you've got the cream and the powder and all the things going on, just taking the beauty blender and kind of blending out the lines helps a ton. But I love this makeup. I'm so obsessed with it. So I'm happy that I got to do this with you guys today. And honestly, I hope you got to see how many foundations I clearly don't like and that you know why I love the ones I do. But